My name's Carl. I'm I'm co-founder of StoryTagger, and so I'm going to be talking about engaging users with user-generated content. It's more engaging people to create, or employees to create user-generated content. But last week, I bought some e-learning from an advert on Facebook, and I have got form for buying e-learning, which is a bit of a weird thing, but I do kind of pay for it quite often. And normally when I buy a piece of learning or a course or something like that, I do loads of research into the trainer, the provider, making sure that they are solving the problem that I've got, seeing testimonials from other people, making sure that they've had their problem solved by buying that program. But this time I didn't do any of that. And can anyone guess why I didn't do any research into the validity of the course that I bought on Facebook?
It was dirt cheap.
It was dirt cheap. It was £4. So I bought it with absolutely no expectation of it being any good. It was basically free. So if it was rubbish, it didn't really matter. I could just about afford to not get value back from £4. And so I started it. And really quickly, I connected, or I felt a connection with the guy doing the training. I mean, he was basically just doing screen recording of a bit of software, talking about the processes behind it. And he was, I think, from Yorkshire. Happy Yorkshire Day, by the way, for any Yorkshire people in the house. He was talking using language and nuance that I recognised and felt connected to. It was a bit scrappy, so it wasn't perfect. So he was, kind of making a bit of fun of his presentation and stuff like that. It was very relaxed and authentic. And after 30 minutes, I was really bought into what he was talking about. And I was taking stuff that I'd learned and putting it into practice and getting great value from it. And it was down to the fact that I'd very quickly developed that sense of trust through the way that he was communicating to me. And what it made me think was, when we're doing learning in the workplace, it's very similar. We don't know who the expert behind it is. We're not paying anything for it. And so that experience of trust is really important as learners to buy in to that learning process and to buy into change, because it's about behavior change, doing things differently. So user-generated content in the workplace is a really important way of being able to communicate trust very quickly, because we love learning from our peers. We trust our peers. Trust in our peers is really rising as trust in hierarchies is dipping in the workplace. And so user-generated content or employee-generated content is really important. And there are people around organizations who are willing and able to contribute to it. But you have to be able to seek them out within the organization. And it really depends on the sort of campaign or program that you're running to find the people who you need to advocate and share the experiences, learning, challenges, problems overcome, all that sort of stuff, to really create that sense of connection with the wider population of the business to the actual learning experience or the outcomes you're trying to create. So if you're looking to create behavior change, you find people who are already exhibiting, living those target behaviors, get them to talk about the benefits that they found from doing that, how they pick them up, helping people see that there's real life positives from changing from their current state. If you're looking for people to develop new leadership skills, you perhaps look in your cohort programs and find people who are learning this stuff and transferring those skills into the workplace. And you amplify what they're doing and give other leaders the opportunity to tap into some of that sense of connection through the way people talk about things, the way that people describe the nuance, the detail in the experiences they're having. If you're looking at a digital transformation program, then you find people who are using the technology and get them to talk about the benefits they're facing, maybe some of the preconceptions that they had before they started using the technology and how they were overcoming the benefits they're having. So there's people all across organizations who are amazing at recreating that experience that I had with the guy doing the training, of creating that sense of human connection and trust within the programs. But the problem is that typically it's been very hard for people to contribute in that sort of way. And the whole idea of user-generated content in the workplace has really struggled because organizations have expected just to cherry pick what works in the consumer space and drop it into the workspace, and it just works as magically as it has on our TikToks, YouTubes, everywhere else. And it doesn't work like that in the workplace because culturally, workspaces have become quite hierarchical places, especially with digital, and people don't necessarily feel they've got a voice or a stake in digital in our workplaces. So asking someone to share their experiences around one of these programs is quite a scary thing for them to do. So they need a lot of support. And typically, if I was being asked to share a career story, I think one of the ways that I'd probably be approached by that would be someone from the learning team coming to me and say, hey, Carl, record a video about your career progression and get it to me for 2 o'clock tomorrow. That'd be great. And it'd be just terrifying. What an awful call to action, a request that is, because I've got no context as to what it's for, how I'm going to do it, or the benefits that the organization is going to receive from that. So the way that we engage people to put themselves out of a perceived comfort zone and to give them support with creating content or co-creating content with a learning team is to provide more context around how it's going to help them, the organization, the team, customers, and how you're going to support them through that process of technically doing it for themselves. So just to sort of finish up with a kind of example of what that looks like in practice, it would be, hey Carl, it's clear that you've had an amazing career at the XYZ company. You've moved from the distribution center to being a senior leader, and you'll appreciate that not many people are able to take that journey. They don't see the opportunities are there, and they don't understand that the support is there to develop them on that progression. And you'll be feeling the consequences of that yourself because you'll know that we're losing a lot of people from the business, or people aren't staying because they're getting opportunities from our competitors to develop their careers, and they're not staying here. So would you be open to sharing a bit more about your career story and the support that you've had from mentoring and learning to inspire other people in the business to think about taking advantage of some of those opportunities that are available? We've got some great tools to help you do that. You'll have full autonomy over the process, and your story will be shared internally to inspire people to make the most out of their career opportunities in this organization. Is that something that you'd be willing to support with? And it's a completely different framing of getting people to collaborate. You're making sure they understand why their story matters. You're reinforcing the value that they bring to the organization in the first place. And you're letting them know that the process itself is going to be straightforward and they're supported through it. So that's how we overcome some of those barriers to encouraging people to share their stories. And if you're looking to support your customers or your organizations with more user-generated or employee-generated content, and somebody comes and says, our people will never do that, it's typically because they've not really been asked properly how to do it in the past. Thank you very much.